Prue, there was a protest in Melbourne in the suburb of Elston Week featuring around 600 women dressed in white. Some of them were carrying signs saying, "Me too, unless you're a Jew." This was in response to, well, many women's rights organisations, feminist commentators, certain politicians who are normally very loud about any hints of misogyny or sexism being silent in the face of the mass sexual violence committed by Hamas that we saw on October 7. Again, it's shameful that a protest like this needs to happen. But where are the feminists? Where are the modern feminists who see rape culture everywhere except where it actually exists?
Well, what a quandary, what a dilemma for these Me Too-ites. You know, the fact that, you know, they normally would, as you say, stand up for anything that was against women, but they're so woke and they're clearly, you know, their brains, I don't know where they are. They've obviously doused themselves in too much perfume. I don't know what they've done. But, you know, the fact that they're in this conflict now where they have been silent, as the UN women and as the UN has too, that they watch this profound, appalling, you know, the reports that we've seen of what actually happened to the women and what is continuing to happen to the hostages, and there's been absolute silence, and the hypocrisy is deafening. And you just have to say they've lost any credibility whatsoever. They've lost me. They've lost a lot of women. And how dare they? And they cannot be taken seriously ever again.
Well, UN Women finally did put out a statement, but it took them a good 7 weeks, and Prue, that got shamed into doing it. Now, I want to play you a grab of Sky UK host Jonathan Samuels cutting short an interview with an Israeli Defence Force spokesperson. The news anchor was asking about Palestinians not having electricity and access to vital information via their phones when this response had him reeling.
You're telling people where is going to be targeted next. People don't have power to power up their mobile phones. They haven't got Wi-Fi.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I think you and all of your viewers saw our hostages being paraded through the streets as they were released to Israel over those 7 nights, and hundreds of Gazans holding their phones, videoing them. So clearly there's enough power to power their phones when they're parading our hostages throughout Gaza. Now that same power to their phones will be to get the maps, download the maps, look at the flyers, and don't forget, we're not only
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm so sorry. We are out of time, but we appreciate your comments this evening.
And Prue, we saw those phones working fine, filming the lynching of those 2 poor young men who were accused of conspiring with Israel. Their brutal treatment was filmed by hundreds, if not thousands of mobile phones. Now, before you go, I've got to ask you about the Sussex's latest drama. It's been reported that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle might lose their royal titles if new laws get the green light. They could go from the Duke and Duchess of Sussex to just plain old Mr. and Mrs. Oh, my goodness. If this legislation that's been proposed is passed in the UK, can you explain a bit more about this story to me? Because I can just see about 20 documentaries, books, sit-down interviews with Oprah if these 2 are stripped of a royal title. They will not cope.
They won't cope, but who cares if they can cope or not? I think this will resonate with the UK people. We saw Kate got a standing ovation recently when she attended some concert. I think people are so sick of them in the UK, and they shouldn't be rewarded with a title at all. So good on them for having a go. And there was history with this, with the Nazi sympathisers who were noble people after the war, and they were stripped of their nobility in the UK. So let's hope this gets through. I don't know that it will, but it certainly would resonate with, I think, the bulk of the UK people. They have forfeited their right to this privilege.
Prue MacSween, always a pleasure. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, Rita.